Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, check out this headline we have for you today. The ultimate black swan for XRP? We just may have it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com. Right now, $2.78 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 0.2% in the last 24 hours, 71,000 slightly over for Bitcoin, 3,800 plus for Ethereum, $112 billion plus market cap for Tether, and XRP at the number 8 spots, 52 cents, off by 0.3 in the 24 and up 0.9% on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly here between 52 and 53 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. Hey, the stuff that we're going to talk about today is really pertinent that I tell you about Miles Franklin, Precious Metals Investments. It's the best place to get metals of all kinds: gold, silver, platinum, palladium, you name it. And whether you want gold leafs, buffalo tokens, Indian tokens, or whether you want bars or coins, they've got it all. They have it all. Look at the products here, ladies and gentlemen. That's just some of it. But here's what I want you to do, because you're a special customer, because you're going to go sign up and click sign up right there in the top right. And in referral code, you're going to put this. You're going to put dig gold. That's what you're going to put. And that is going to make sure you get the best prices. And by the way, when you tell them and talk to them, tell them you want the special pricing list. Yes, the special pricing list you get when you put in dig gold. That's all you got to do, and the rest will take care of itself. Let's get started. You're going to see why we're talking about gold here in just a moment. Now, I couldn't help but play this little clip again. I'm not going to play the whole clip, just a 25 seconds, where Jim Cramer, of all people, actually cracks on Gary Gensler, and you could tell he does not like it. Take a listen.
You guys have coins?
No, we don't.
There's a Cramer coin?
There should be, but there isn't.
Yes, there is a Cramer coin.
I hope it's properly registered.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up because now it's a pumping gun. I went, wow, Cramer coin. I was not going to bring it up, but there you go.
Chair Gensler, wait. We have only a little bit of time.
The SEC versus Ripple Labs.
Ripple.
Right, Dave, what do you want to ask?
There you go.
You lost that
the floor.
one. Thanks.
What I want to ask is,
You lost that one. Thanks. Oh, boy. Leave it to Jim Cramer. Oh, brother. Well, I bet he got his ass tore up when they got done that clip. Let's take a look at this now. FBI just admitted in court that Hunter Biden's laptop is real, and this is a mind-blowing 20 minutes, which, by the way, you could catch in the Freedom Zone. You're going to want it along with commentary. Oh, boy. We're going to get into that. Yes, we are. And digital assets were created to prevent World War III, created to prevent the Second Great Depression. We're about to find out. This is what brought me to the space. I absolutely believed that Ripple and XRP were designed to really complement the financial system and to help deal with the spillover shocks of the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency, at the same time helping to relieve tensions because of that issue and other geopolitical factors, to relieve the tensions and stress so we do not see another world war like World War III. So we don't want to see that, just like we didn't want to see the first and second one. So I do believe that that is the original intent of all this technology, even the birth of Bitcoin. And I just had an incredible discussion inside the DPMG, and there's a link if you'd like to join the DPMG. The conversations in there are absolutely remarkable, and the one we had last night is going to stand out for me for a long time to come, no question. Saudi Arabia is not renewing the 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States. Vandell from Black Swan Capitalist says it expires on June 9, 2024. For those who don't know, the petrodollar agreement was established in 1974, 3 years after the U.S. abandoned the gold standard. Under the petrodollar agreement, Saudi Arabia agrees to sell oil exclusively in U.S. dollars in exchange for U.S. military security and economic development assistance. Now you know why gold is moving. And this is what I found, because shout out to Vandell and his brother Vershawn, who do a great job. But I wanted to show you this because Mike Christo shared this. It says he's been trying to find out about this whole June 9th date, which is just 3 days away, ladies and gentlemen. So if that in fact is true, we're going to have to pay very close attention. Now, we've heard Saudi Arabia say that they've moved into a $15 billion MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese, and saying that they're working towards a $15 billion deal, that if that goes well, they're going to start doing the Chinese yuan in oil trades, which is already started, by the way. So the exclusivity of the US dollar is not happening now, today. That agreement is not being honored in its original structured form today. So what will happen 3 days from now? We don't quite know. I've done some digging this morning trying to find the original agreement, but there's not a lot of information on this. But this is what Mike Christo found. Shout out to him. It says U.S.-Saudi Arabian Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation was established June 8, 1974. And it says here, and the agreement was signed on February 13th, 1974, and it says here, so you can say June 8th, 1974, you can see communique signed, so that's why they're saying June 9th it was expire. But if you look here, they go through and they talk about the agreement was to run for 5 years and has been extended in a 5-year increments through February 12, 2000. It is possible that a technical cooperation agreement could be extended an additional 5-year period at the completion of the life of the technical cooperation agreement. It is anticipated that there will be an audit by the DCAA or similar organization and a formal close-out signed by both governments. At this point, it will be appropriate to offer the files to the archives for historical files. And then this here from Jericho's mission, it shows here that it says Jericho would operate for 25 years. So this is who had no traditional organized public agencies, how to operate fundamental bureaucracy. And it says here the mission went to American companies. And obviously we know, but would attract almost no attention to the country because the Congress ignored it. The Saudis were paying for it. So there was no need for U.S. appropriations and congressional oversight. So this is all we have. We don't know. We're literally like flying damn near blind here to find out whether this agreement will end or if it in fact does end, because we see here it was signed June 8, 1974. Would that put us at the end at this year 3 days from now? I don't know. But if it is, and they do, we better be prepared what's going to happen here. And if it is, could it be the black swan that nobody sees coming that really could play into the launch of the Ripple stablecoin, which is, you know, apparently going to be the symbol RLUSD. Now, does that stand for Ripple Labs or does that stand for Real USD? And now think about the fact that if that petrodollar agreement happens or ends as being discussed here, then think about the introduction of that stablecoin. Then think about the powerful comment that Brad Garlinghouse made about the fact that if there was any depegging to their digital dollar, they could simply stand behind it as Ripple and guarantee that it's a dollar because they got so much XRP, which was the first time I've ever heard Brad Garlinghouse suggest that XRP could back the digital dollar. Come on in. Then there's this. Breaking news, Saudi Arabia has joined a China-dominated central bank digital currency cross-border trial. The foundation is shaking, says Gold Telegraph, because it's all coming together. We're going to find out in 3 days just how quick it's coming together. And this makes more sense. Think about what Pegah Sotani is talking about here in this Ripple clip. And think about the numbers she's talking about here. Cross-border payment market is expected to reach $300 trillion by 2030 in just another 6 years. And think about that cross-border payments running to $300 trillion in 6 years and the potential of the petrodollar agreement ending while that's all taking place. Take a listen.
Blockchain technology can appear complicated. I'm here to show you it's not. Hi, I'm Pegah Soltani, and I'm the head of payments product at Ripple. So what I find fascinating is that trillions of dollars of value move across borders every year. By 2030, it's expected to reach 300 trillion. Despite this growth, global payments are often expensive, slow, prone to error. Fortunately, at Ripple, we're changing the way value moves around the world. We use blockchain technology and digital assets to enable faster, more affordable, and more transparent payments for both our customers and their customers. Here's how it works. Let's say a business wants to send pounds from the UK to the Philippines. First, they request an FX quote on pricing and foreign exchange. The business receives the quote, approves it, and then submits payment instructions. A digital asset acts as a bridge currency moving from the UK to the Philippines. It is then converted to local currency through Ripple's global partner network. The recipient then receives the exact amount quoted to them in Philippine pesos in real time. It's that simple.
We all know how it works, right? And shout out to Pegah Soltani for breaking that down for everybody. But I want to now take you to Congress and Representative Lynch explaining the XRP ledger as a solution without realizing he's explaining XRP ledger as a solution for this digital world we're moving to. This is going to knock you out.
Tokenization systems. If we have, so let's just sort of think about this. You've got a bunch of different tokenization systems, and you want, ideally, you do want different countries, you want global commerce. Wouldn't you need a central bank, sort of one central, not necessarily reserve, well, sort of like a reserve currency where everybody could exchange their tokenized assets and trade them? Wouldn't that require one central bank currency to sort of settle all that out? That one that everybody recognizes and respects?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the benefits of tokenization depend on there being a settlement asset, right? And, you know, some people say that stablecoins should be a settlement asset. I think that is a terrible reason because of all the fragilities of stablecoins that I've testified about before. So I really think that the settlement asset has to be some kind of central bank money, ultimately.
All right.
And if you want that on the ledger, it's probably going to have to take the form of some kind of central bank digital currency. Now, this doesn't have to be a retail product, and I want to emphasize that because I'm not sure where I sit on, you know, retail central bank digital currencies, but a wholesale, the plumbing, central bank digital currencies, something like that would be needed as a settlement.
But obviously, if the Federal Reserve Bank is not allowed to operate in that space, it's going to be a central bank, some other central bank. It won't be ours. It'll be, you know, EU or China or some other.
You can hear he's still trying to get his mind wrapped around it. It's Ripple and XRP, Representative Lynch. I'd be happy to talk with you.
Central bank that'll be the settlement.
And I almost bet the United States government owns more XRP than anybody we know of. That's just a guess, but I think it's a good one.
The central.
Very quick, one more. I have to. So, you know, who bought the 9 billion XRP in Jed McCaleb's wallet when he was ordered to sell it? And why was Jed McCaleb never actually mentioned in the SEC versus Ripple case because of that fact? Let's keep listening.
Central bank currency of choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works without the U.S. Fed being able to issue us.
The gentleman's time's expired. I recognize the Vice Chairman of the Subcommittee, Mr. Davidson of Ohio, for 5 minutes.
I thank the Chairman, and I thank the Chairman for specifically scheduling a hearing that isn't about cryptocurrency. It isn't the standard debate between Bitcoin versus shitcoin and everything else in the cryptocurrency world. It's certainly not a hearing about central bank digital currency and what a terrible idea that is. By all means, Mr. Lynch, continue to study it. Know and come to the conclusion that it is a terrible idea to implement a central bank digital currency, particularly the one currently conceived. In fact, this is a hearing about the rest of assets. What are we going to do about the whole rest of digital assets and how they might be tokenized to represent real world assets? So thank you, Chairman.
Oh, now let's listen to David Schwartz from just not long ago here.
Scenarios for a digital.
And by the way, this is fascinating to me because I get attacked constantly for a dream scenario that's very similar to David Schwartz, which I had from 2017 with my oldest brother and I before I ever even dreamed I'd be an influencer. I never even had it on my radar. But listen to this, and I find it funny that a lot of people that are in that particular Twitter space at the time are people who attacked me for believing the things I believe about XRP, calling it old narratives and things of that nature and that kind of stuff. However, even as recently as consensus, David Schwartz has been saying, again, raising it up, we need institutions to come into this space because that is going to ignite the technologists and the developers and builders at the grassroots level. There's no question I believe that as well. I've said it multiple times. That is what we need, which means the logjam is in fact still what it has always been. It is the case that's hanging over and looming over Ripple's head in XRP, and it is the lack of legislation that can clear the way for regulation for this digital asset space. Make no mistake about it. And it is not an old narrative. It is more relevant now than it ever has been. Here's David Schwartz.
Scenarios for a digital asset is if countries start to realize that the US dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever. Other things are going to be the reserve currency. And the same thing that we saw with banks. Like people, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that, like you guys were selling them when they could use something that was like made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that, only like 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, like the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on. For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors. And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals.
Oh, now, David, you would be attacked if you were a YouTuber like me, buddy. Oh, you would be just devastated. They would annihilate you. But they don't go after David, though, do they? No, they don't. Mm-mm-mm.
And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the U.S. dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the U.S. dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right?
Exactly.
Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the money question is, how do you get everybody to agree?
Let me help with this one. You give them some. It ain't money unless everybody agrees it's money. So how do you get everybody to agree? You pre-allocate them some. Just like you pre-allocated in option contracts to R3 and Greg Kidd. You do it with the major countries and government central banks around the world that have the largest economies. That's how you do it. And then, of course, David's reply as well, because he can't say stuff like that.
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
Exactly, because what do they care? There's no question about it. What a great clip that is. Here's Nadine Chakar from the DTCC, formerly from Securrency. And remember, Securrency was bought by the DTCC, now called Digital Assets. This is about smart tokens and tokenization. Take a quick listen to this quick clip.
An infrastructure that is interoperable, which will allow these tokens to move on different networks. And it does require that it starts with compliance as the underlying principle and build up from there. So we do believe it'll become a network of blockchains. It's not one blockchain that will rule them all. There is technology.
There you go. Not one blockchain to rule them all. You can see Cat 20, Cat 721 tokens can be issued from and transferred across distributed ledger technologies like Ethereum, Stellar, Ripple, GoChain, EOS, among others, as well as legacy systems. That's the way it's set up. Now we have this for the big finish. It is the president of Ripple, Monica Long. Shout out to Monica. And I'm going to give you this right here. When are we going to see that stable coin? Let's see if we can grab it right here.
We see demand from our customers, financial institutions of various types, who want to use blockchain for more efficient global payments and want to do it using a US dollar stable. Ripple, we have a 10+ year legacy of being a very trusted, compliant, secure player in the enterprise space. So I think we're a great candidate to bring a trusted US dollar stable to the market.
A lot of people wanted me to ask this question. When are you planning to launch it?
We're working on it right now, and you can expect to see more from us later this year.
So is it likely going to launch this year then?
Likely.
Have you begun buying the...
I love that. Way to push for the question there. Love that, love that. And shout out to Monica for giving us that little bit of information. Listen, that's where we are today. Don't forget, we're going back into the Freedom Zone. Oh, we got lots to talk about with that laptop and all those lies. Remember the mainstream media and how they carried the narrative? Oh boy, are we going to get into it today. All of a sudden, the realization, Hunter Biden and all that stuff on his laptop, it was actually real. Yeah, as if they're just finding out. See, this is another large narrative we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about not just that information that's been found. Oh, no. We're going to talk about something else, too, that is revealed from all of this. We're going into the Freedom Zone right now, and you can too. digperspectives.com, click on the Freedom Zone and come on in. And by the way, if you want to join the DPMG, you are more than welcome to come into the DPMG. You get a private weekly call, and we have an incredible group of brilliant people in there. And I tell you, you won't believe the kind of stuff that's happening in this group. These people are super smart, and they are preparing for a future, because it's not just about making money. It's about creating wealth and learning how to keep it. There's no question about that. And we're doing that all day, every day inside of the DPMG. You can join that as well. Right now, not financial advice to me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone. Come on in. All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we go.